What's up, everybody? If you want to join the greatest online Star Wars community, the Fandom Menace, make sure you hit that subscribe button before today's video starts, so you don't miss out on any updates and you're always the first to know when our newest videos go live.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
The future. A nightmarish hellscape. The world has fallen into madness, accelerated by the constant need to virtue signal. As film properties decline in popularity, desperate Hollywood execs, fueled by greed and cocaine, dig up old franchises in an attempt to cash in on nostalgia and brand recognition. Unbeknownst to them, the key to success is out of their grasp, because in trying to win the biggest audience possible, they alienate the fan base that makes it a chore to support the brand. This is 2019. The future is now, and this is the dark fate of Terminator. For decades, the Terminator has been one of the premier names in sci-fi action films. From its first film in 1984 through its second film in 1991, nobody did it better than James Cameron in the Terminator series. Then the third, fourth, and fifth films came out, ruined the legacy, pissed on the Terminator lineage, and destroyed the brand. So you think it couldn't get any lower? Well, this is a Hollywood film, and Hold My Beer is written in nearly every contract because we now have Terminator Dark Fate, or T6 as I'm going to be calling it moving forward for brevity's sake, and that film has now killed Terminator permanently. Unnecessary sequels are just a part of life. For every good sequel like The Empire Strikes Back or Spider-Man 2, we get bad ones like Superman Returns or every Friday the 13th film, including the first one. So when I say that T6 was unnecessary, I know the environment we're living in, but the statement still stands, stronger than ever. Now, for those that are saying T3 through T5 were also unnecessary, I will say yes. I wholeheartedly agree, but that doesn't stop this film from being just as egregious and probably, guaranteed to be worse than what came before it. What separates T6 from the rest of the unnecessary Terminator films is that dirty little word that finds its way to violate all of our favorite franchises. What is that word? Say it with me, folks. Agenda. There's an agenda behind every movie, and that is to make money. No one digs up these old properties to lose cash. They dig them up because of the name recognition and what seems to be guaranteed box office bank. Sometimes it works, and sometimes you have Terminator Dark Fate. Terminator Dark Fate box office estimated now lower than projected. Last month, box office analysts were projecting Terminator Dark Fate could end up with a record opening weekend, hauling in somewhere in the 40 million plus range. Turns out those estimates were a bit generous, because now the latest Terminator movie has opened in advance previews. It looks like Dark Fate's box office is going to be a bit lower than projected. What a difference a few weeks makes. In early October, I wrote a story about Terminator Dark Fate tracking towards the $40 million plus opening weekend, which would have put it on track to break previous franchise record holder Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, which opened at $44 million. Now, however, on the weekend of the movie's release, analysts suggest it might not even hit $30 million. The Hollywood Reporter says the film opened with a $2.3 million Thursday preview, which indicates it's on a track for $28 million opening weekend. So, what happened? Perhaps fatigue. Early reactions for Dark Fate started off strong, but they also started out rolling on October 20th, almost 2 full weeks before release. Whenever a film launches, its early reactions can trip up some folks and cause confusion. Case in point, it already feels like the conversation around Dark Fate is over, even though it just opened. Of course, that logic only applies to a film whose fans obsess over this stuff. The average, casual moviegoer doesn't pay attention to such things. Still, the reviews that eventually arrive for the film are mixed at best. That could certainly deflate some excitement. Then you have to factor in the knowledge that Terminator Dark Fate is the latest entry in an altogether lopsided franchise. Most can agree that Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day are great movies, classics even, but everything after that? Not so much. Perhaps the lesson here is that Hollywood should just stop making Terminator sequels. Then again, things could also turn out differently after the weekend ends. Maybe Dark Fate will end up surpassing these now adjusted expectations, and it'll be a big hit after all. Or if you're lucky enough to live in one of the very few places playing The Irishman in theaters this weekend, you should probably go see that instead. Now that sounds like a ringing endorsement. Now you know it, and I know it, and the media knows it. Terminator is a dead franchise. The story ended with Part 2, and every film since then has hobbled along, falling just short of relevance. When you have a property that you want to bring back to the forefront, there are a handful of things you can do, but Hollywood seems to be obsessed with trying something that never works. It's clearly smart to try and expand your audience, get more eyes on your products, butts in seats, more money in your pocket, but you shouldn't do this at the expense of your pre-existing fan base. Terminator, much like Star Wars, more on that later, has done that by trying to make the Terminator modern or woke to the layperson. Woke entertainment sucks, simple as that. If you don't know what woke is, it's a colloquial term. Woke is used to describe what's light on originality but heavy on feminism or any current issues where only one side is represented on film. The films then become a lightning rod for controversy, where the public discourse or conversation about the film isn't about the film itself, but the agenda behind it. Finally, the film is used to label any person who doesn't agree with the agenda of the film, filmmakers, or marketing campaign as a sexist, racist, etc., etc., etc. Woke films have become synonymous with garbage like T6 or Ghostbusters 2016 or the countless other gender-swapped or ideological-driven films that are light on originality and respect. And that's where the problem for the fans, the real fans, stems from. T6 is a rehash of T2, liquid Terminator villain, robotic hero, Linda Hamilton, a truck chase, etc. That's where it fails in originality, like The Force Awakens that copied A New Hope. Death Star insert, desert planet, wise mentor, I need to stop right now before I go on another one of my rants. If you want to hear that, just type in world-class bullshit or Star Wars. There's countless videos. In regards to respect, the film disrespects the legacy of the franchise by undoing the achievements of the previous films, by making the original beloved characters ineffectual, weak, or outright stupid, just to make these new, hollow characters seem better by comparison. Again, much like Star Wars, T6 wiped out John Connor and propped up Danny Ramos. Why? Sarah Connor isn't treated much better either. Her struggle to keep John alive so he can fight in the future war is all for nothing now. Sure, she shoots a gun, but does that make her a great character? No, it takes away her complexity and her purpose. It's the lack of respect that angers fans the most, but the filmmakers play dumb and hide behind the agenda to shield themselves from any criticisms. They make themselves martyrs for their cause, and the media definitely plays into that game. Or did. Terminator bombs again as Dark Fate nabs apocalyptic $10.6 million Friday. Even with James Cameron and Linda Hamilton returning with Arnold Schwarzenegger in an R-rated sequel which stole from Star Wars The Force Awakens playbook, Terminator Dark Fate once again failed to avoid Judgment Day because audiences just don't care about the Terminator as a brand, or an IP, or a franchise. Terminator Dark Fate faced Judgment Day once again yesterday, earning just $10.6 million on Friday. The sci-fi sequel, directed by Tim Miller, produced by James Cameron, and starring franchise vets Linda Hamilton and Arnold Schwarzenegger, alongside newbies Mackenzie Davis, Natalia Reyes, and Gabrielle Luna, was the third attempt to revive the Terminator series for a decade. Terminator has become a metaphor for itself, with filmmakers trying different things only to face the same outcome. Judgment Day is inevitable. Hollywood may yet figure out that audiences who aren't diehard sci-fi geeks have little interest in additional Terminator movies. Making a future war sequel with Christian Bale as John Connor didn't do it. Making a time-twisting retcon presumably modeled after Star Trek didn't do it. Bringing back the old gang for a Passing of the Torch sequel like Star Wars The Force Awakens didn't do it. The pitches change, the hooks differ, but the result is always the same. Just because folks liked Terminator in 1984 and lost their minds over Terminator 2, Judgment Day in 1991, does not mean they have any interest in additional Terminator movies. Just because something was once popular doesn't mean that audiences care for a new iteration. The sheer hubris to try to convince audiences 3 times in a row to want something they clearly don't want, at great expense, is frankly appalling. The "this time folks will bite" attitude is what has left theatrical moviegoers in grave peril as streaming and television networks have filled the gap for something beyond cover records of yesterday's former glories. It's one thing to try to reboot, strike out, and move on. It's another thing to pull solid grosses, but at too high of a cost, like Sony's Amazing Spider-Man, and then team with a rival to keep the budget in check for the second reboot. It's another thing entirely to take the same dead franchise and presume that the audiences who said no thank you not once but twice will somehow magically embrace it on a third try. Terminator Dark Fate is being distributed by Paramount domestically and Fox and Disney overseas, aside from China where Tencent is distributing. It would be cruelly ironic if it bombed in North America while scoring overseas, giving Disney an unneeded victory. Even if using the Force Awakens playbook, a diverse/inclusive new cast with the franchise stars as mentors and a loose remake of the first flick, was the right call, it was 2 movies too late. After 2 lousy Terminator movies following the decent Terminator Rise of the Machines, even a better offering wasn't enough to entice audiences since they didn't care about the Terminator franchise. Terminator Dark Fate is bombing in North America because audiences didn't want to see it. When audiences don't care, all the fixes in the world can't prevent Judgment Day. So Scotty does know a few things. I guess that's good. But he still can't stop the praise of diversity. Natural diversity is great. I've never once heard anyone bitch about the Predator's commando squad being diverse. I've never once heard someone complain that Al Powell in Die Hard was a black man. I've never once heard that Riggs and Murtaugh felt forced. Those were all natural and, dare I say, perfect. Here, the Terminator is being used as an allegory for border policy and female rights, and it's wrapped up in a thin, moldy shell. The filmmakers know what they're doing on T6. Back in July at Comic-Con, director Tim Miller had this to say in regards to the fans that didn't embrace the androgynous Grace, played by Mackenzie Davis. "If you're at all enlightened, she'll play like gangbusters. If you're a closet misogynist, she'll scare the fuck out of you. Because she's tough and strong but very feminine. We did not trade certain gender traits for others. She's just very strong, and that frightens some dudes. You can see it online with the responses of the early shit that's out there. Trolls on the internet? I don't give a fuck. Well, you should have, Tim, because nobody came to see your movie. They started early trying to insulate Terminator 6. They tried, and they failed. In this world gone mad, we won't spank the monkey will spank us. Sorry, wrong script. If the Terminator was an allegory for the evils of artificial intelligence and man's failure to protect Earth, T6 is an allegory, or in this case, a cautionary tale, for film franchises not to rely too heavily on nostalgia and political correctness. Even James Cameron, the creator of Terminator, had creative spats with Tim Miller. Miller is not a man to simply roll over and let someone else dictate what to do, even if that someone is James Cameron. According to Cameron, he had a much easier time working on a similar capacity on Alita Battle Angel with Robert Rodriguez. My work with Robert on Alita was very different, he admits. Robert loved the script, loved everything, said, I just want to make this movie. I want to make the movie the way you see it. And I was like, no, you got to make your movie. And I had the reverse experience with Tim, which is Tim wanted to make his movie, and I'm like, yeah, but I kind of know a little bit about this world. So I had the matter and the antimatter version of that producerial experience. It didn't work for Ghostbusters, and it didn't work for Terminator. On second thought, both of those film series started in 1984, and they got terrible remakes in the late 20-teens. There's one other franchise from 1984 that hasn't been touched yet. Maybe... No. Oh God, no. So that's it for today, folks. Thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this video. If you're a fan of this channel, hit that thumbs up button and let us know that you liked the video by commenting down below. Were you surprised at all that Terminator didn't deliver? I'm not. I'm not shocked one bit. I saw this coming a mile away. We talked about it on the podcast last year, maybe? When we coined the phrase the LGBT 1000. So if you guys want to hear our previous Terminator content, well, just go over there and check it out. It's a lot of fun. Well, we have a lot of fun at the expense of this stupid movie. But I'm sure you guys will have fun at the expense of this stupid movie failing, because it just goes to show you, get woke, go broke. Nobody eats this shit up. Nobody. So I can joke about the comparisons to Ghostbusters and, that Beverly Hills Cop film that should never get remade. But it does scare me that this is the idea that Hollywood has to make money quick. What do? We take the old IP, we slap a fresh paint of coat on it. Yes, I meant that. And we just market it out to the world. Personally, like I said in the video proper, Terminator ended at Terminator 2. Judgment Day was averted, the T-1000 was killed, and Arnold Schwarzenegger died in the manliest death on screen. That's the only acceptable film to cry in here on this channel. I'm joking, but I digress. Folks, there is one thing I'd like to ask before you go, and it's not the usual thing. So there has been a change here on YouTube where your notifications aren't popping up the same way they used to. So if you wouldn't mind, if you love this channel, make sure that your notifications are set to all, not customized, because YouTube has taken it upon themselves to alter the way you can find our videos. So this is going to be something that we try to bring to your attention moving forward, because it's a problem for all of your favorite YouTubers. I have been subscribed to a lot of channels myself, and I wasn't getting them. I was finding them on recommended pages for other things and not in my subscription feed. And that's a problem. I wanted to watch a lot of these Halloween-based videos on Halloween, and guess what? They popped up 2 days later, and the mood just wasn't right. So I still watched them to support my favorite channels, but I would have preferred to have watched a retrospective on Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees before Halloween. So as the build-up for Star Wars Episode 9 continues and you want to get the most up-to-date news, analysis, opinions, and all the fun stuff on Star Wars, including podcasts, roundtable discussions, possibly commentaries, and a whole lot more, well then make sure you have that bell notification turned on to all, because we pump out videos every few days, live shows every few days. We are the epitome of pop culture. We are world-class bullshitters. So folks, World Class Bullshitters has one message for you. What is it? It's simple. Go out into the world and be excellent to each other.